What's going on, everybody? Haunted Beard here. Welcome back to my channel. Well, today I want to talk about one of my most anticipated horror films of 2023, and that is Infinity Pool, the latest film from Brandon Cronenberg, son of David Cronenberg. And this one stars Alexander Skarsgard and Mia Goth. I finally got a chance to give it a watch, wanted to give you my thoughts, so here we go. So Infinity Pool tells the story of James and M. Foster, who are enjoying an all-inclusive beach vacation in the fictional island of Tolqa, when a fatal accident exposes the resort's perverse subculture of hedonistic tourism, reckless violence, and surreal horrors. I'm going to go ahead and issue a spoiler warning, and just because I feel like it's going to be hard to discuss this without kind of getting into some of the events and the details of the movie, so you have been officially warned. And I don't even really know exactly where to start with Infinity Pool. This is a bizarre one, and I was, for the most part, a fan of Cronenberg's previous film, Possessor, and this one is in kind of a similar vein. It's got some horror, some mystery, there's a bit of a sci-fi element to it as well, and I really like just overall the visual presentation. Cronenberg knows how to create kind of a distinct visual style just in terms of how he frames some shots and how certain scenes are kind of edited together and shot, and there's particular sequences where things just get really bizarre and crazy with just a lot of colors and flashes and quick cuts and all sorts of stuff. So he definitely has the style there. The visual presentation of this really sticks out the most, as this is something that you could kind of take a little bit of a flavor from like Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, and then mix it in with something from like Nicholas Winding Refn, like Only God Forgives or Drive, with just his real penchant for like bright, intense neon colors, and also his taste for like really brutal and graphic violence. And then you kind of could even mix it in with Brandon Cronenberg's dad, David Cronenberg's penchant for body horror, and you can kind of mix all those flavors together, and this is sort of what you get. And so there is definitely something to be said about the visual style of it, and for the most part I was really on board with it. I thought it was unique, and I thought it was different and pretty creative, and so I enjoyed that aspect of it. But does he have the substance? And I would say, yeah, I think there is some substance to it. It's probably not as deep as the style is, but there is still some substance here. And so overall, I did enjoy Infinity Pool, and I had a pretty good time with it. But let's go into a little bit more of the details of it. So our main character, Alexander Skarsgard, he is at this resort vacation with his wife, played by Cleopatra Coleman. And you find out early on in the film that he is a guy, he's an author who has written one book and has now been dealing with writer's block. And so Cronenberg establishes his character right away as somebody who he's seeking validation, and he's certainly, at least seemingly, not getting it from his wife, as there's just some conversations early on where you can kind of tell that it doesn't feel very respected by her, that she does not really have much faith or confidence in him as a man, as a provider, and so he's seeking that validation. He's kind of feeling like a failure. And however, though, he starts to get it through Mia Goth's character, and you can definitely feel an immediate attraction between those two. And this probably goes without saying, but Mia Goth in this is just, it's another really solid performance. Her character is a lot more sinister than you initially expect, but man, she crushes it. And she's got scenes later on in the movie that like had me laughing, but in a good way, because they're so sort of creepy and uncomfortable, but kind of over the top as well. But man, she really just sells the heck out of this performance. I thought she was just really good. And Alexander Skarsgård is pretty good as well. His character is just kind of more subdued, I guess, but there is some kind of emotional depth and complication to his character, as he is kind of seeking this validation and going through just him feeling inadequate as well. And so those feelings that we get out of him are what kind of set up this, what turns out to be a match made in hell between him and Mia Goth. And Infinity Pool does a good job going to unexpected places and taking some surprising twists and turns along the way. And I really didn't know very much about this outside of just a brief little synopsis. And so one of the big reveals that happen in the movie is Alexander Skarsgard gets arrested for accidentally killing a man while driving home with his wife and Mia Goth and her husband. And he gets imprisoned for it, and he is going to have to pay the death penalty. However, on this fictional island, they have this technology that allows you to create a clone of yourself if you're rich. And so the police here are making money from these rich tourists, and these rich tourists are now allowed to basically go out and have free reign and commit all sorts of crimes because they're able to pay with the crimes by paying to have a clone created of themselves, and then they actually watch the execution of that clone. And it gives them just this wild, pleasurable high that they just continually, it becomes sort of this like addictive drug, this addictive experience that they just continually go back to over and over. And Alexander Skarsgård's character really gets kind of sucked into that subculture that's going on this island. And I think one way to describe this film is this is like a hedonistic descent into hell. And because it's through these people trying to live out this hedonistic, pleasurable lifestyle that ultimately, goes the complete opposite way of what they hope. And so there's kind of some interesting things to say there. There's interesting things that they do with just the really grotesque and disturbing masks that they wear throughout the movie. Just talking about their identity and how this is no way to live your life. I think these masks are intentionally designed to look like demons, because that's kind of more or less what these people are becoming, as they are really losing their sense of self. They're no longer becoming human. They're just seeking these types of crazy experiences. And especially now too, they don't even know if themselves are their real selves anymore, or if they are the clones who have survived. And so it's like they've become these sort of hedonistic demons in a way. And so even though the film isn't really saying anything new or different that we've never heard before, it's at least packaging it in a pretty unique and creative type of way. And overall, I had a pretty good time with it, and I would recommend it for the right type of person, for the right type of audience. It is just weird and bizarre and disturbing and pretty graphic, and it's got just a lot of craziness in it as well. And so, but I appreciate the effort. I appreciate just the ambition there as well. And just, I just like to see a filmmaker who just is making the movie that they want to make. And so Brandon Cronenberg, now for me, his last two films are something that I've really gotten something out of. And so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what he brings us next. So those are my thoughts. I think overall for a grade, I'm probably going to be like a 7.5 out of 10 for Infinity Pool. So those are my thoughts. Hit me up down below, though, in the comments. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie. Did you love it? Did you hate it? I could see how this one could be pretty divisive. But anyways, let me know down below. Also, just like always, if you like videos like this, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you next time on The Haunted Beard.